view on gold? There have been some very successful hedge fund managers like John Paulson who've recently come out with some filings disclosed they're taking long position in gold or gold stocks. In part, I would imagine that's a bet on inflation or hyperinflation. What is your take on that?
Look, as I explain in the book, you have the system that has actually, financial system actually collapsed. And now we have a dual task. One is to prevent, to stop the collapse, and the second to build a new system. And the remarkable thing is, and this I explain in the book in more in detail, that what you need to do in the short term is almost the exact opposite of what you have to do in the long term. So, for instance, if a car or an airplane is out of control, then you actually have to turn the wheel in the same direction as the car is veering. If not, you turn over.
If you have a car that skids in the snow, you have to turn into the way you're skidding.
So that's what you have to do in the short term. So as the credit is collapsing, you actually have to replace it by using the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve, which increases the monetary base enormously.
Yes.
It has increased effectively through the various guarantees more than tenfold. Now, as credit comes back, you then have to shrink the pace. But if you don't, then you have the makings of inflation. So that's the fear that drives people to gold.
Right. Do you share that fear? I mean, do you have confidence that the Fed will be able to sop up that liquidity?
Well, it's going to be almost even more difficult to do that than to pump money in, politically also and technically to drain it. I mean, it's Congress can. It's easier to distribute money than to impose taxes. Right. So it's going to be a big and difficult task, and probably the authorities will not be able to do it well, but the market is going to force them, because the moment this fear of deflation turns into fear of inflation, you'll find that interest rates.
Right. The bond vigilantes will return. The bond vigilantes will return, and
yes, and then the rise in interest rates, in the long end, the steepening of the yield curve, is going to choke off the recovery. So, if we are successful, we are heading from prospect of deflation to stagflation.
Right. Interesting. So is inherent in that comment, is there a bubble in treasuries, as some people believe at this point, that the treasury market is doomed to have a major fall at some point in the near future?
Well, I think that the long end certainly will, and once you start recovering, then of course the Fed will raise short-term rates also.